and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 6 of the Spring Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a brand new Cricut paper craft project with a spring theme every day for 14 days. Today's project is this beautiful gift box with little 3D daisies on the top. It looks gorgeous from every side and it's perfect for adding in a little gift for someone special. But this project is not just for spring because you can remove the daisies and then make it suitable for any occasion. Here's one all done up for Christmas instead with some super cute gnome pattern paper. This gift box is large enough to fit a mug inside. If we take the lid off, hopefully it's not going to fall out, but you can see we've got a mug in there and it's held nice and securely in place with a little insert. If you're not going to be putting a mug in there, just take the insert out, don't cut it, and you're left with a perfect box suitable for so many different things. Let's get started. This project is part of the 2026 Spring Craft Countdown. Download the cut files for free for the first 24 hours after this video goes live using the links in the video description or by visiting craftwithsarah.com/spring26. After 24 hours, the cut files for this project can be purchased from craftwithsarah.com/spring26 files. Or get the entire Spring Craft Countdown plus 35 extra bonus files from craftwithsarah.com/spring26 bundle. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into your cutting machine software. For instructions on how to do this, visit craftwithsarah.com/help and choose Cricut, Silhouette or Scan and Cut. Within there are dedicated help guides on topics such as how to upload SVGs, how to modify them to make custom projects, framing tips, and how to cut cardstock with your type of cutting machine. If you have any questions, email hello@craftwithsarah.com. Now, on with today's project. To make this project, you'll need cardstock in all the colours that match the design or your chosen colours. The thickness for the decorations doesn't matter, but for the box I recommend around 250 GSM to 300 GSM, which is about 80 to 100 pounds. It's just because, especially if you're going to be putting anything heavy in here, like a mug, you want your edges to be nice and thick so they're going to be secure. You want some pattern paper, or you could just use the same colours up here if you prefer, but I like adding that little bit of decoration to the side. Now, if you're not a fan of daisies and you don't want to put the flowers on the sides, that's fine. I'll show you how you can simplify the design to make the box suitable for any season. So here's one I've done that would be more Christmassy with some gnomes. The top is nice and simple, and then I've got 2 different types of paper on the side. While you could put anything in these boxes, they have been designed to hold a mug and they will fit in there nicely. There's an insert in there made from cardstock to hold it securely. These have been designed to fit this size of Cricut mug, which are the 12-ounce, 340 milliliter size of mug, but I have also tested it with several off-brand mugs of the same size, but the handles are a little bit different and they fit in there too. If your mug is bigger or smaller, you may need to resize the gift box to get it all to fit. If you are thinking about resizing, I recommend cutting the mug insert piece first and then see if your mug fits in the hole. If it does, there's no need to resize, but if your mug doesn't fit, if it's too small to go in the middle circle, or if your handle doesn't fit in there without moving any of the cardstock around it, you may need to make it bigger. Remember, when resizing in Design Space, you need to change the size of the whole design, not just the insert bit, otherwise you might make the insert the right size, but then it's not going to fit in your box. You'll also need craft glue. I'm using Barely Art glue, but I also like Collal. I like these glues because they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. The Barely Art glue comes with a narrow nozzle on it, which is great. The Collal doesn't, so I put it into these needle applicator bottles. This is optional, but I find it very helpful to have some double-sided tape. That way, when you're building all of the sides of the box, you can add tape so that it will hold itself straight away, and glue, which gives a better overall stick longer term. You'll need your cutting machine and a light grip or standard grip cutting mat. A brayer tool is helpful for getting your cardstock really well stuck to the mat, or you can use a scraper tool. A scraper tool is also helpful for getting small pieces of cardstock that's left over off your mat, for example all these little bits that make the cutouts. To give your daisy flowers a little bit of bend to them, you can either do that by hand, in which case you don't need anything special, but if you have a piece of foam packaging or foam from another project or anything like that, and a ball tool similar to this one was designed for fondant icing, but it works great for paper crafts. These are really good for rolling around in a little circle over the petals to get that 3D effect. So if you've got them, great. If you don't, you can still do it without, and I'll show you both ways later on in this video. Here's what the gift box design looks like loaded into Cricut Design Space. It should load in at 28 inches wide and 45 inches tall, as shown in this green box here. Don't worry, that is the size of the whole design, as you can see here, not the individual pieces. It will cut on your regular Cricut mats from regular size cardstock. If your size is different, change it to match what's in the green box. Then ungroup the layers by pressing the ungroup button at the top of the layers panel. Click to select that rectangle and delete it. The design comes in all loaded to cut the spring flowers version of the flower box with the daisies. When you scroll down to this bottom bit here, this is the base of the box, and you'll notice there are 4 pink rectangles. These are to be cut from pattern paper, but if you don't have pattern paper, you can change the colour to a different colour that matches the rest of the card and just cut it from plain cardstock instead. This shape here on the bottom right is the mug insert. If you're not using your gift box for a mug, you can delete this piece. I do recommend cutting all of the side panel decorations, even if you are using solid coloured cardstock, not pattern paper, because it gives a lot of extra rigidity and firmness to the sides of the box, making it better for holding heavier items. And the same with the layers on the lid as well. If you're going to be doing this for an occasion that doesn't have the spring daisies, you can click through all the daisy layers and either hide them by clicking the eye, or delete them by pressing delete on your keyboard or clicking the trash can to remove them, and then they won't be cut. You'll probably also want to hide the flower shapes if you're not using this design. So to do that, click on each one individually and go into contour. Press hide all contours and then apply, and that will fill in all the gaps. For my gnome box, I did all the bits on the top from a patterned paper, so I would change the colour of all of those to something different to remind myself that I want to do that from that pattern. So then I'd work through all of these 3 as well until they look like that. I am going to be cutting the one with the daisy, so I've gone back to how that loads in and I've deleted the size box. Whether you're doing the daisy design or a different one, you still need to do all of the following formatting of the score lines. Click on one of the bits of the box. You'll then see in the layers panel it highlights that this is in a group, which you know because there's a little chevron icon next to it. Click that to open up the layers. Within there you've got a yellow piece on the bottom and a line on top. Click the line and then under the operations drop down change it to score. Then click to select the group again and press attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut we want it to do the scoring on that particular bit of yellow card. And then work through each of the sides of the box one at a time. We're opening up that mini group, clicking on the top layer, changing that to a score, and then clicking to select the whole group and attaching. For the lid, there are 4 side bits and the bit in the middle. Now that we've done the lid, scroll down to see the base of the box, and we're doing the same thing again. We click onto all the yellow pieces, open up that group, change the top layer to score, click and attach. Oop, I accidentally missed it then. Let's try that again. Score, there we go, and attach. And then finally, if you're using it, the mug insert also has a line to change to score, and we'll attach that too. Then this is all ready to start cutting. Now I want to draw your attention to something on this bit here for the pattern paper bits. And that is to make sure that when you cut it out, you rotate the side bits around so that they'll cut the right way up on your pattern paper. Now don't do it on this screen because there is a bug in Design Space at the minute, which is where if you rotate something on this screen and then press make, it forgets about your rotation and puts it back in the original place. So you basically have to do it again. So to avoid that, we'll press make and that will separate out all the colours. Look down to the one with your pattern paper. Now if you were to cut it like this with two vertical bits, that means that these bits, when you put them on your box and they're in horizontal format, the patterns will not be the right way up and it'll look a little bit weird. So click on the vertical ones and drag around with the shift key held down. That means you can get it exactly 90 degrees. So what you want is for all of your pattern paper pieces to be horizontal like that. The same will go for the lid if you have hidden the flower bits and you're doing these from pattern paper as well. But if you're doing them from the yellow, it doesn't matter as that's just a solid colour. Get all your bits of cardstock looking how you want, then press continue and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut with your Cricut. Gather together the pieces of the lid. You've got a sort of square piece with one little circle in one of the tabs. That's how you know that this is the one for the lid and not the very similar looking piece which is for the base of the box. The base doesn't have that circle cut out of it. Then there are two pieces that look like this with a bigger circle in the middle and two pieces that look like this, almost the same except they've got the tabs on the sides. It's easy to pick out the bits for the sides of the lid because they have that circle in the middle. Go down all of the score lines on all the pieces and fold away from you. I found it easiest to fold it and then go down with a brayer tool to make sure the fold is really crisp and well done. I found it quite hard to see the score lines. I'm not sure if you can tell on the camera, but I've used a very textured card with sort of a cross-hatch texture on it, and it really made those score lines blend in, which is why I've done all the folding prior to this video. Now, this is the top side, the side I want to be on show, and all of those score lines were mountain folded away from me. It's the same on the base piece too. Fold down all of those score lines until you're left with that square shape. Okay, so this is the top, this is the outside of my lid. This is the side I want to be visible. So we'll put it down and we've got that circle on the top right. And then I'm going to go down all of the edges with tape, double-sided tape. You can just use glue if you want. I'm going to do a combination of double-sided tape and glue. I like the double-sided tape because it holds straight away, but I find that sometimes it can come apart again after a little while. It's not the strongest tape ever. So I use a little bit of glue as well to make sure that it will stay stuck. Okay, so I'm going to go down all four of the sides up to that score line, but make sure you don't go over the score line into the middle square. It doesn't matter if you put the tape over the hole in the side, that was just there so that we knew that this was the piece for the lid. Now I'm going to take my glue and add a few little lines, again not going any further than that score line, just so I know this is going to hold a little bit more securely when it's all put together. And now we'll attach the sides. The ones with the tabs will go on the left and right, and you want to position it so that the side that's got the tabs on it is the one that will touch up against here. So this one, I'm going to line it up along the score line, push down to stick. Then on the other side, the one with the tabs will be the one up against the score line. The left and right pieces, so both of these are the same, so you don't need to worry about which way around it goes. Just make sure you don't accidentally put them at the top or the bottom. The top and bottom ones, get these ones that don't have the tabs on. Line them up, once again against that score line. Now this one you might notice it is scored twice. That is completely my fault. Remember I said I couldn't see my score lines? Well, I thought I'd identified it and I folded and then realised I'd folded it in the wrong direction. So I had to unfold it and do it again the other way. It won't notice when the box is all put together and decorated, so I didn't think I needed to recut it, but just in case you were wondering why that one is scored twice, that's entirely a me problem. Next up, turn this over, so now we're looking at the bottom side, and fold all of your little tabs along the side inwards. Then I'll add tape and glue along each of them. You may find it easier to do one side at a time, so perhaps just this one and then just this one afterwards. I find it easiest personally to put all the adhesive on in one go, rather than trying to add the tape on when half of it's put together and it's not flat on the surface anymore. Okay, then we're going to bring up the sides and stick the tabs to the back. It's easier for this part if you get all of your bits with the circles in and fold it the opposite way along those score lines. We will put it back again when we're done, but doing this helps stop those pieces getting in our way when we're trying to stick the tabs together. Okay, so we'll hold that one up, hold the next side upright, and get that tab stuck in. Try and get it as neat and accurate as you can. You might need to hold it in place until it sticks, especially if you're only using glue. And then this one. So you can see I'm sort of finding it easiest to hold my flaps just against the side as I'm going to get them out the way. Just be sure if your glue smushes out a little bit that you don't accidentally stick those tabs down. And then I've got this side. Out there, and the last one. Excellent, that is now the lid almost done. We're just going to add glue to all of these and then tuck them in. There are two reasons for doing that. One is that it neatens up the inside, so at the minute you can see all the tabs in there, and if we stick these in it's going to hide them all and make them neater, and it also has the benefit of doubling up the thickness of all the sides so it's a little bit stronger. Try to make sure you've got some glue in the very corners and edges so it will hold very securely. Tuck it in and get it very well pushed in. So we've ended up with it looking like that. We've still got the semicircle on there, which will be helpful for taking the lid on and off. It will make it a little bit easier to grab hold of. And then the inside is now nice and neat with no tab showing on that side. Then repeat the same thing for all of the other three flaps. There we have our lid all done. And we've got a few little extra panels to add to it. Again, these not only help with decoration, but also make it stronger, which is important if it's going to have something heavy in it, like a mug. So I'm using the decorations from the original design, but if you've used patterned paper, for instance like this, then yours will look a little bit different because you won't have the cutouts in your sides. For the top, we've got the bright yellow square and then the lighter one to go on top. Glue these together. You'll end up with a thin border of the darker colour all the way around the edge. And then do the same for all four of the sides. I've already glued 3 together, but for this one, make sure you're grabbing your backer pieces that have got the little semicircle taken out of it, and then the decorative bits get glued right on top. Once again, you'll have an even border of that darker colour showing all the way around the edge. And then these can be glued to the box. It doesn't matter which way round your box is, it's square, so it's going to be the same whichever way you put it. That's the one on the lid. Again, you end up with that even border around the edge of seeing the original box colour. And then each of the sides will get glued onto. Remember to match the semicircle cutout to the bottom of each of the sides. So we've got the semicircle there. This would go on over the top and glue down. So you end up with that. And then repeat for the remaining 3 sides. Next up, we'll have the daisies to go on the top. Again, if you're doing a different design for a different occasion, you might not be making the daisies, in which case you can skip on to the next part. I've already put one of them together, which is this one. You can hopefully see that flower's got a lovely little 3D effect on it where the petals are rolled upwards. That's my one that'll go down here. I'll show you how to do it for the other daisy because it's the same kind of technique for both of them. So for this daisy, the one that will be at the top, you're looking for the green pieces that have got a little square taken out of them. There's that one and then the darker one to go on top. For the one I'd already done, these ones had a circle taken out of those green pieces instead of a square to help see which one is which. So these will sort of go up like that. And then we've got the darker bit to go on top, and we'll line up those squares when they glue together so that you can still see through them perfectly. And that's how you know you've got it in the right place, but you don't need to be too exact. Add some glue only around that middle circle area. Don't put any into the leaves because there's nothing there for it to stick to, so you would just end up sticking it to your work surface. And then we'll line up and stick. If you've got an old piece of foam packaging or something similar and a ball tool, this is one originally made for doing fondant flowers with for cake making, but I use it for my paper crafting instead. Then you can use this to add some really easy dimension to the flowers. If you don't have these, that's not a problem. I'll show you an alternative as well. So get your ball tool if you've got one and go into the middle of the flower and draw little circles. Just go around in a circle. Kind of hard to show you without my hand covering it, that's better. I'm going to go out into the petals a bit too carefully because I don't want to rip anything. I'm keeping that circle going right to the end, then circle back in the middle and do a few more around there. And as I've done that, my petals have all curled up. So originally this started at the same size as that one and now it's smaller. But if we turn it round, it's now got that lovely realistic petal effect. If you don't have the foam and the ball tool, you can do something similar by simply rolling the petals up gently with your fingers. Try not to bend them or crease the card. We're just doing a really slight little bend. You could use a pen to help go in, or even put the pen that side and use it to roll up against too. It's completely up to you. There's loads of different ways you can do it, but I do find the best result is this way. So I'll finish this one off. Now I can get that back and put some glue on the bottom of one of the flowers. And then this will put glue through that little hole, so be careful. Glue that into the middle. Take your other one and glue on the bottom of that as well. And put it in the middle of this one, and you're trying to line it up so that the petals of this one end up in the gaps between the petals on that one. That gives it more of a realistic appearance. Now it won't line up exactly all the way around because of how we've rolled it. But you can see how that's got some of them in the middle. It looks just like a real daisy. Then a bit of glue in the very middle of that one. and put on the largest middle bit, which is the one from the darker yellow colour. Drop that in. And then another little bit of glue right in the middle for the lighter yellow. And there, very pretty. These daisies could be used on other projects too, if you wanted to put them on something else. Then get them into position. I want to make it so that the green bits are all completely on the box lid, not going over the edge, otherwise they might bend or get ripped. You might need a little bit of wiggling about. I'm happy with that. So then I'll glue the bottom one on. Again, because I don't want the little leaf bits out here to risk being ripped or damaged, I'm adding my glue all the way down them. But if you'd prefer that they were left loose so that you could sort of bend them upwards as well and make them look a bit more realistic, then you can do that. You might need to hold it in place gently while that glue's drying to let it take hold. Don't push very hard though, especially on these little laurel bits. You don't want the glue to smush out and be visible. That one. And then the same on this one. I can't remember the exact angle I had that at. I think it was something like that. There, that's our beautiful box lid, all decorated. Next up, we've got the base of the box. This actually goes together in exactly the same way as the lid, so if you can remember those steps, then you don't need to pay much attention to this bit. You can just carry on and do it, but it's a little bit more tricky just because this one's so much bigger, so that's why I am recording this bit as well. So once again, we've got the square bit in the middle. We've got two big rectangles with score lines down the middle. One for the top and one for the bottom. And then two bits with tabs. Fold everything away from you, mountain folds like we did before. And then we're going to join all of these together like we did before. So the ones with the tabs will go on the left and the right up to that score line. And the sides with the tabs on these bits will be the ones closest to the middle. And then the ones without the tabs will be on the top and the bottom. Now those are all on, turn it upside down. Then it's the same again as before. Tuck those tabs in and I'll add my adhesive down all of those and then fold up the sides. Only once again, it's going to be much easier to fold all these sides away from you once the adhesive is on. I'll do that first. Now they're all sticky. I'll fold backwards along these tabs. We'll put them right again at the end, but it's going to make it a lot easier without these getting in the way. There, see, that looks much more manageable. Okay, then we're going to lift it up and stick the sides together. Once again, nice and straight on all of those. The fact that this one is bigger does make it a little trickier. Take your time. I'm putting my hand right down in and rubbing along those tabs to get the tape and the glue stuck. Right, that's all of those done. Have a quick check. I haven't done that overly neatly on that one. Luckily that glue is still just about wet enough for me to neaten it up. There. Okay, then just like before, to hide all those tabs and to make it stronger, we're going to tuck these in. For these ones, as they're so big, you'll want to just glue them one at a time. Don't add the glue to all of them in one go. To tuck them in without smushing the glue everywhere on all the other sides, kind of tuck it round like this, like you're sort of curving it. Don't bend it or fold it, but just a gentle curve, and then it will tuck in to the front, and then you can push it down and make it flat. Then continue that for all of the sides. Just to show it again, when you're ready to tuck it in, do a gentle bend so that it will fit into the box, and then push it so that it's flat. Here's my box with all those sides folded in, and it's now looking really neat. I didn't stick this tab down very well, so my box is not quite straight on that side, but the lid has a little bit of flexibility with it. So if you haven't quite lined it up right, like I haven't on this one, it should still go on. Okay, now we've just got the sides of the box to go. And I'm actually going to put the lid back on because it'll be easier to line the decorations up with the lid on. I've used a bumblebee patterned paper and then the same dark yellow that's in here. So once again, you would just glue all of your pattern paper or other colour bits onto the bigger backers. And then let's see, which way round is my box? So this is the top left. Not that it really matters. It works kind of any which way. But I've got this one. Which one? Yeah, I think this is the one that I like the picture on it the most. So I'm going to have that one go at the front. The reason for adding the lid on before doing this is so that you know the space you've got to work with. If the lid wasn't on, it's a bit harder to know where we're going to line this up because it can't go anywhere that the lid is going to touch. Otherwise you're making the bottom bit thicker and your lid might not fit. So I've got the lid on and I can line this up so that I've got a kind of even amount of the main box colour showing around all of the edges on there. And the same for the other sides. And that's our box done. It's really pretty how it turned out with all those details and the lovely daisies on top. Or if you did it with other papers, it's still equally as beautiful. I really like this one with the gnomes. You know me, I love my gnomes, and lots of sparkle too, because this is glitter paper and there's glitter on the gnomes as well, on their hats, which is just really cute. If you're adding a mug into your box, then you might find that it wobbles about a bit. Actually, this one fits quite nicely, but some mugs might wobble a little bit, and it means it could move about and damage your box. That's why the design for this project came with an optional mug insert to help hold it in place. It's got this bit here which is all separate, and we're going to fold inwards along those score lines. It's a little tricky because of the proximity of the circle. I've used really thick card, which I didn't quite mean to. It means it's harder to see those score lines. That was not straight at all. Let's try that again. I'm trying to rush, and that's never a good thing when crafting. Here we go. And then this one, so this will be another tricky one. You might find it easier to go forward first so you can see that score line better, and then go back. And then really simply, it just tucks into the box with those tabs pointing downwards. Work out actually which way round you want to put it. That was the one I wanted on my front bumblebee. So that would be that way round. So I want my handle to be on the bottom right, but it doesn't really matter. Push that in, and then your mug will go in. The handle goes in the little tab bit there, and that will hold it in place. You might need to wiggle it about a little bit to get it in. And I've just missed the handle. There we go. And then that helps keep it in place a little bit easier inside your box. Remember, mine's a bit skew with because this is the edge that I didn't quite stick straight, but it still goes on absolutely beautifully. And now when I shake it, that mug isn't going to move about. It's nicely held in place. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make either a spring or a not so spring themed gift box with me. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more 3D crafts and Cricut fun. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 7 of the Spring Craft Countdown, but for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!